Right, let's see. Is the stream coming online? Is it coming alive? I do believe so. Let me just make doubly sure. Maybe just turn the volume for my music down just a teensy bit. And let's see. All right, yeah, we seem to be live. All seems good, up and running. So let me just get OBS on that side, and then I can see the chat. I still need to figure out how to widget the chat properly, so people can actually see the stuff on screen while I'm typing, or while people are typing to me, so to speak. Hello, happy to see you as well. So I wonder what I want to actually do with the stream tonight, because I know this lab that we've been working on for the last couple of weeks, it's actually pretty not bad. It's just it's not working correctly. This mixture of junipers and MikroTiks just really isn't cutting it for the type of services we want to provide. So I do think we should either do something, even though I do see that the core is MikroTik, I do think that I would probably use something else like the junipers at the core and maybe the MikroTiks at the provider edges, because we ran into some really weird and interesting issues when it came to the MPLS portion for our lab, because we could definitely see stuff like when we used RSVP, we could see that the LSPs or the label switch paths would come up, the tunnels were up and running and working, but it just wasn't transiting any traffic properly. And I've had that with just pure MikroTik networks as well, where I just have issues with traffic engineering on MikroTik in general. And when it comes to LDP, that seems to work fine, but we did run into a few bugs, if I recall. We'll just have to look at the past streams to actually see what happened. But it's really, this lab, I feel it's kind of defeating us at the moment, because there's just so much going wrong the whole time. So I don't know if I just want to scrap this and rebuild it with the Juniper stuff at the core, or if we just want to look at a few other type of niche things. I've also even been playing around with the idea of labbing like documentation on the stream, like the MikroTik documentation or Juniper documentation or Vios documentation, just kind of build a video library that references the documentation so people can kind of see how to do the stuff that the documentation is trying to show you what to do. Although I think if you follow the documentation properly, it usually comes out just fine. It works just fine. But it's kind of nice sometimes to have a visual reference as well. So I do think I'm gonna just close this lab, and there's either just build something else. Maybe there's something I can lab with MikroTik specifically. Yeah, there's a few things we could do. Let's go back into that lab, actually. I'm going to do something a bit strange, and I might just get rid of the junipers in this lab and just make this a pure MikroTik network. And then we can try and troubleshoot stuff from a MikroTik perspective instead of introducing the additional variables that extra vendors would bring into the equation. If you will rebuild the lab with Juniper Core, could you please explain what you are configuring to understand better? No, definitely. This is just, again, if you're new to the stream, this is more or less just a playground where I'm building like some ISP type of solutions that people tend to just use, like VPLS or layer 3 VPNs, or eVPN that I was trying to also play around with. I know that it works with Juniper. I know that eVPN doesn't exist with MikroTik at the moment, but I think a good starting point for us would just be to get rid of the junipers in this network, and just make this a pure MikroTik network. And then we can see what stuff with MikroTik doesn't work properly. and possibly bring that to Microtik's attention, or just figure it out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scrap this and restart this as a pure Microtik network. At least it means that there's a lot less that I'm scrapping, because I'm just taking out these provider edge devices, these junipers on the edges really, and then we can just bring in the Microtiks to take over their portion of the network or whatever services they were providing to the customers. Let's see, what else do I have here? So this is Microtik. Just a couple of Microtiks, that's fine. We can leave this P1 was a route reflector before. So just to make this a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot simpler, I'm going to keep the topology like it is. I'm not going to add more provider edges. We're just going to have a provider edge 1, provider edge 2, and I might get rid of this link between the two provider edges. You might sometimes have links like that in place, but I want the traffic to be forced to go over one of these provider nodes, so it doesn't go directly between the provider edges, just so we can get a better feel for the traffic as well. So we got a nice little diamond almost. You can also think of this just as a circle as well. The nice thing about a solution like this, or a topology like this, is that you've got multiple links or backhauls into the equipment. So example is provider edge can connect via provider 1 or provider 2, and if the link to provider 1 goes off, it obviously has this other path to get to provider edge 2, and it's the same for provider edge 2. So you kind of definitely always, when you're building networks, try and plan it with a little bit of redundancy in place like this, where you do have the multiple links. It just makes your life a lot easier in case something breaks. I mean, I know it's not always the case. Sometimes you can only get a single link to a specific location, or maybe the underlying network infrastructure runs off of the same core provider, like a carrier, or the fiber provider is the same that puts the stuff in the ground. And if they have an issue, it doesn't matter if you have two cables, it's all just going to go down. That's why I think a mixture of wireless technology with fiber technology is actually very useful, where you can have the wireless stuff run as your redundancy backups almost. You can maybe do that as a tertiary failover even. But let's just get the services back connected to these provider edges. I'm just going to delete that. I might need to just remember what IPs I've assigned at places, but it's fine. We can just figure things out. Let's delete that. This is just really to simplify the lab. So this is just going to make things a lot easier. So there's a VPLS site. I might just move this to provider edge 2. Then we've got our VPLS site. How can I make this look a little bit neater as well? Because we've got VPLS and then 2 layer 3 VPN customers, like a customer 1 and 2. And it's easy to see what services they are linked to, because we just color coded their network so that we kind of know what's what. So I think what could make kind of more sense to me is if I put the layer 2 VPN stuff directly to each other. It just looks weird because I'm like overlapping nodes and stuff now, but it's fine. It's fine, I hope. So I think this should look good if I put the VPLS stuff just opposite of each other like this. And I'm gonna have to reconfigure a few things and just check what IPs I've kind of reserved at places. Let's do Ether 11. goes to the customer there. So that should do that. And I could still have this one node up here as well. Or maybe we should just put them down. So this is, hang on, what's this chat widget? It's not showing me all the chat properly. All right, that's better. Sorry, what kind of VPN they are using. So in this type of network, when I say layer 3 VPN, it just means it's a MPLS for a customer, and it's where they're basically inside their own VRF or their own routing instance, so that they only know their own prefixes. They don't learn other customers' prefixes. So that's what a layer 3 VPN is. So it's not like IPsec or WireGuard or stuff like this. This is more like a term that you'll hear a lot in service provider networks, where they'll talk about layer 3 VPNs, or some people just call it MPLS. I know a lot of people that I used to work with over the years would just call it MPLS, although it's not really MPLS, because MPLS is more or less the transport technology that we're using underneath the network. All right, let's just make this like that. All right, that looks pretty good. I think I'm also going to bring this site down like this. Yeah, this makes kind of sense to me. And let's just move the orange there. And I'm just going to bring this like this. I can still use the BIOS node as a CPE. That shouldn't cause me any like real issues. I mean, I might even have brought a Juniper in as a CPE, but Junipers just take so damn long to boot up that it's not worth it to just quickly spin up Junipers in that fashion. There we go. So we can see what's been done there. So let's just connect them all into the provider edge equipment. So I could do, hang on, let's do this. This is just for my own sanity to kind of see which ports are going. Oh, there are 3 persons watching the stream. That's on YouTube, and then there's also somebody watching on Twitch. So hey guys, thanks for watching. I can appreciate that it might also be a bit confusing, because I'm kind of jumping around all over the place right now. But what I do find interesting is, if I was streaming on the main channel, we'd probably have more viewers as well. But like I said in that announcement video that I posted, YouTube gets a bit like weird or annoyed at me when I stream and post normal videos. Although I haven't posted many normal videos lately, I really should make some more videos. I need to still finish that MTCNA course of mine as well, which I'll definitely get to. But I do want to keep the streams going. I definitely don't want to drop the streams. All right, how can I make this look a bit better? I could maybe just do a flowchart. Looks a bit weird. I think state machine is quite nice because you can add some pretty interesting curve. Now let's try the flowchart. That's also not doing really what I wanted to do. I think it's because the link is just so close to the node itself. Let me just move this around a bit. Like, why is it? Else I could probably just do it like that. If I move it a bit closer, yes I can. And if we put it like this, I think it's just kind of looking like it looked like before. Let's just refresh. All right, that's fine. I don't have a .5 anymore. So let's just connect up the other CPEs quickly. So this can go into 11. And this last one could probably go into 9. And even G can get so cluttered sometimes, because the topology is not looking exactly the way that I was seeing it in my head just now. This is stub. Let's see. 20. Okay, I see what that's doing. So if I move this a little bit, that should look a bit better. But that's also not quite right. Let's try and fix this one first. If we do a Bezier, now flowchart. State machine. 500, 220. No, 30, 40. 75, 60. That looks all right. All right, let's just save that. Let me change this to a state machine as well. Now, that looks terrible. I think let's go back to the straight with the stub set. All right. Could leave it like that as well. All right, I think this is just one of those issues with having too many nodes on the same side. It looks quite messy, but it's fine. I think we can work with this. Let's just move this a little bit. So that gives us a nice canvas to work with. And now let's actually start these nodes up. So just going to be a quick start all. Again, what I like about labbing with the MikroTik equipment is it's really lightweight. If we look at our system resources, it doesn't consume so much memory or CPU. When I boot it up, it's gonna spike a little bit, but it's gonna even out fairly quickly the moment everything's up and running, because MikroTiks don't consume a lot of memory. Well, you can make it as big as you want to make it a CHR, but I think I've set these only to be like a giga node, which is fine for the type of lab topology we're running. And since these are just running the trial, well, it's not really a trial license, but it's just a base license, we're just restricted to 1 meg on all the interfaces anyway. So it's not like I'm going to push a ton of traffic over these MikroTiks. So I need to do a few things. Firstly, I just have 2 PE, so this makes it a nice and easy setup. Although I do know that I need to make a slight change where I'm connecting to the route reflector. So let's just quickly admin. I don't think I've set any password, but let's connect to the Romon, and I just want to get onto the provider edges. I could probably just fix this up from the CLI as well, but it's fine. MPLS. The question is, do I want to try and figure out traffic engineering, or let's just get everything working firstly. So I'm just going to go back and enable LDP for our interfaces. I just want to see on the topology what's what. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. Okay. So enable LDP, 1, 3. Might even enable the allo as well. And then I'm also just going to disable the traffic engineering stuff that we were doing. So disable them, disable our tunnels. And then the big thing here for me is to just update my route reflector. I think this is .1, yeah. So let's just say we're connecting to .1 as the route reflector. .1. I don't even know if the session's going to come up, because I think I've disabled the sessions on the P1 device as well, but it's fine. Let's just quickly disconnect, go next. Connect to Romon, P2. And then route in BGP. Connect to .1. And then our traffic engineering. Disable. Disable. And then our LDP, just turn that back on. So that was 1, 3. Which is fine. And then I've done the BGP already. Let's just quickly fix it up on the provider 2 device as well. Have that running LDP. So let's just disable those. I don't even see that I had any. I don't think I configured any tunnels. So traffic engineering is just a different word for RSVP, which is another signaling protocol that you can use with MPLS. Now with MikroTik, you've only got 2 things that you can really use to do MPLS, and that is either LDP, which is basically the easy version, but LDP will dynamically just figure out the best path, but it basically instantly creates like this mesh between all of your nodes so that you can run MPLS services and stuff over your network. Whereas RSVP is a lot more select. You can still use stuff like OSPF to build dynamic mesh tunnels and stuff. But with RSVP, it's kind of in the name. It's the reservation protocol, or reservation resource protocol, something like that. But in essence, what it does is it allows you to create these tunnels that you can kind of have bandwidth and stuff associated with, but not just bandwidth. You can even do stuff like quality of service, where if a certain bit is set in the packet, it will actually follow the best path determined by your MPLS setup. So RSVP is perfect for that type of stuff. It's just a more granular or specific way that you can kind of decide how traffic will flow through your network. It's very, very useful. It's like almost like surgeon work almost. So you can pretty much define exactly how traffic moves from point A to point Z, and the in between and all that stuff you can tweak kind of as well. So it's very useful in that sense. And a lot of big carriers tend to use RSVP, but most smaller ISPs tend to they'll just use stuff like LDP, because it's literally just there. If we live in the world where you're getting 100 gigabit links and stuff like that, it becomes where capacity is no longer the issue, but stuff like quality of service can still be an issue. You kind of still want to prioritize certain traffic over other traffic. But LDP is just like super straightforward and easy to understand, which is why I like working with LDP. It doesn't make it messy, but RSVP is very useful. So let's just go ahead and enable the LDP stuff. So I think this is just 1 and 2. Got some LDP neighbors, that's perfect. I don't think I configured anything like BGP. I should kind of make this provider to a route reflector as well, which we'll probably do a bit later. I just want to get the network up and running and start having customer services work. So let's connect to our provider 1 directly now. Let's just see what's configured. So the BGP, we've just disabled it. There's no longer a PE 3 or 4, so I can just remove those, and I can just enable the BGP sessions for PE 1 and PE 2. And our sessions immediately established, which is very good news for us. However, I still do need to fix up the MPLS stuff. So let's just enable LDP, enable our LDP interfaces, which was, it's just 1 and 2, 1 and 2, which is fine. All right, that looks good. I can even see a bunch of labels there, so we're good there. I also think there's no traffic engineering configured. Actually, I do have it set on the interfaces, so I can just disable that. But there's no tunnels and flows and stuff like that. All right, so step 1 is done. We've re-enabled LDP on our MPLS network, so technically we should now just be able to start making these customer services work. I think I just want to maybe, do I really want to add like a little cloud and just say MPLS just to properly define where the ISP network is? Probably not needed. It's just a nice looking thing. Let's first just get the stuff working, then we can worry about how nice we make things look. I think that was over there. So now the question is, how much remnant configuration do we have? So the VPLS, that obviously doesn't have an IP because that's a layer 2 service that we're spanning. Let me put these loopback IPs inside like that. That might make it look a bit neater. Although I do like the top and bottom ones where they were. So Ether 11 and 12. Let's just see if we have anything configured there. I'm just going to go into the command line and see what's happening. So admin, ooh, caps lock, you win again. No, I'm not going to change the password. So let's just do a IP export. So do we have anything configured on 11 or 12? Yes, I do. I have both of these configured. So I could set both of them as well. So 164.0.0/31 and 08/31. All right, I see what's going on there. So this is that. Yeah. This is where it's going to look a bit messy. Yeah, I want to move these things out a little bit. So let's just grab this portion. That looks messy. And not in the good way. Okay, that should be fine. Alright, looks a bit better. Try and line it up a bit. So, 11, Ether 11 was .8/31 and Ether 12 was 0/31. Now the question is the customer VPLS stuff configured? Let's just quickly jump on there. I could just do an export on everything and see. So routing BGP VPN, I can see we do have that set. And we have two of them set for a customer 1 and a customer 2. Although this customer 2 has some old legacy route distinguisher, which would still technically kind of work. And there's our customer 3 stuff. Let me just get into Winbox for this as well. I kind of like working on this with Winbox as well. Winbox is really a very nice tool. So provider edge 1, if we go into our BGP VPN, so there's a route distinguisher for customer 1, there's a route distinguisher for customer 2. I'm just going to copy this route distinguisher ID, make it .2, apply. We're redistributing connected and static routes, which is fine. And our session is up. I think I can also just remove this IP on Ether 2 so it doesn't confuse me later on. Remove that BGP session. I actually think this might actually already be working. Let me just, I know I have a second Winbox window open here, so let's just connect onto the provider edge 2. I just want to see what's happening there. So if we look at our routing BGP VPN, I can see there is something for the customer 1, redistributing the connected and static, so that is fine. I'm happy with what I see there. Can remove the old BGP session, can remove the IP on Ether 2. This looks pretty good. Ether 12 is, what's that? 164.0.2/31. So let's just make sure that reflects here. And which one was that? Ether 12. All right, so let's just duplicate that. It's actually already set over there, which is good. Let me get rid of the stub. 0 stub. And this one, just go back to straight line. So Ether, so I've got 0, 2, so I can do 4 and 6. And then 8 is there at the end. And that kind of wraps up how our stuff was set up before. So set 4 and 6. That looks mighty fine. That looks good. So I'm doing 11 and 9. I just need to add some IPs and put them in their respective VRFs, and also just maybe configure the BGP or the L3 VPN connection for this customer 2. I think orange was 2 and purple was customer 1. Yeah, it looks that way. So let's just fix that up. So either 11 and 9 on PE2. So I think 11 is 164.0.4/31 on, what's that, Ether 11? Yep. What is this flag? Slave interface. So that might seem like some bridge that we had configured. It was probably, no, yes, I mean, so E311 is part of the bridge. So E311 most likely was for the VPLS. So I'm just going to move that, make Ether10 the VPLS port. And then Ether11 can be its own thing. So that's why that little S was there. So we're fine now. And then I could just copy this, make that .6, and bind that to, what was it, 9? Yeah. All right, so we've got these 3 interfaces added for the customer stuff for the VPLS, or MPLS, sorry, or layer 3 VPN, sorry. So what I can do is just quickly go into my MPLS, or actually my BGP, and I can crook a little bit, although I should really add the VRF for the customer 2. So let's just do that. Add a new one. This is called customer 2. And that was Ether 9 belongs to that customer 2. And then we can just select customer 2 as that VRF. Select their route distinguisher as colon 2, 2, 2. Apply that. And I also had a Ether 11, which was a part of customer 1's VRF. And I think that is actually it. That should allow these 3 sites for customer 1 to talk. That should allow the 2 sites for customer 2 to talk. And we should have the VPLS working. So the question is it actually working? Quick way to see is just log on to the MikroTik here on the VPLS site 1. And let's just see if I log in and I look at my neighbors. Do I get anything? I do not see anything. I see a PE1 as my neighbor. So it's definitely not working. And let's just check, is the customer VRF stuff working, the layer 3 VPNs? So, IP print, can I stop that? IP address print. So pring, can I pring something? Ping 164.0.0. So I can get to my provider edge. Can I get to my remote site? So 20.1. That is also not working. So there's possibly something wrong with the VPLS or the MPLS itself. Or it could even be something with my route reflectors. So that's good. Good thing we tested, so we could actually see there's an issue. So let's just check this lab out. This is supposed to be a pretty straightforward setup. We're just running LDP, we're running BGP, and that runs on this P1 as a route reflector. And that should be pretty good. Let me get onto the route reflector as well. And let's just have a quick look and see some of the details here. I'm connecting to dot 2 and I'm connecting to dot 3, which is fine. I know it is fine because the station's obviously established. What I would maybe like to see is if I do a routing route print. Am I seeing anything there? I do learn some BGP routes. Although I see I'm only learning the routes from well, not just the routes from, let's see. Maybe it's a case of I haven't added the static routes on the provider edge 2 for those subnets. It's actually a pretty high possibility of that as well. So what I could do is just quickly go to provider edge 2. Since I'm not seeing those routes from that router ID, because there's actually, what am I seeing? There's only this one thing from 172.31.255.3, which is provider edge 2. So I'm only seeing this 164.0.6. And that is actually for my customer 2. So let's go into provider edge 2 quickly. And then I just want to have a look at a few things here. So firstly, let's look at the routing table. All right, I definitely have it set. The question is, do I have it set to the right place? Yes, I do. Let's just see, can I ping 164.0.3 from my customer 1? Yes, I can. So can I ping that IP of 192.168.20.1? I can. And this is the customer 1 VRF. And I think this was already configured correctly with the BGP. Oh, hang on. That is definitely a small issue. Did I not copy earlier? I think I might have just overridden for the customer 2 stuff. So let's just fix that up, make that colon 111 for the customer 1 VRF. All right, let's go back to our route reflector and let's see, am I learning those routes now? Yes, I am. So now I can see more stuff from dot 3. And I can see I am learning 192.168.20.0. So the question is, from my customer edge device, can I actually ping that now? Still not. Maybe if I source it from 192.168.10.1. Nope. Really, really fun. So traffic is coming from this into Ether 12, then it should just be going over one of these paths and then just jumping in here. I wonder, can I get to the external IP? No. Let me just see. You are learning that. If I look at the route table on P1, do I actually see the route coming in there? Customer 1. I do see it. And it even shows that it's kind of like a ECMP route. I wonder if I should maybe tweak some stuff with the OSPF costings, but this should still work, kind of. This should actually work. Let me do some fun stuff like just putting one window there, the other window there, and then I can just quickly troubleshoot between the both of them. I swear there was something you could close all windows quickly. There it is, pretty neat. I like this little search button. If you search here, nice, that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that before. I'm not even sure if that's in the old version of Winbox. So I just want to make sure I've got these set correctly. I'm pretty sure I do. I think I need to have these, but it's fine. I can keep them in as well. So .2, .3, it's fine. And it is 1 and 3. 1, 3, 1, 3, that's fine. I can remove that. And .4 is my provider 2 device. I'm going to open up another Winbox session, apparently. Oh, I think I just disconnected. How can I do this? So let's just connect onto the provider 2. There's just something I'm going to check on there quickly. Yeah, it's fine. That is just 1 and 2. That's fine. Let me just quickly tweak it anyways. So I should be able to just do that in my template, I'm sure. I can take those out. Cost. Let's just pop that up to something else. And if I look at my routing table on the PE1 now. We can see it's no longer ECMP because it's now preferring to follow the path to provider 1 or core 1 or whatever you want to call it. And let me just disconnect, get back on provider edge 2 as well. And IP routes, customer 1. So this looks a bit weird. All right, never mind, it just didn't refresh correctly. Let me just copy this and set .30. What's that? .30 was going to .5. Apply. And let me just check with my BGP. Have we set an Xtop self? Let's just try that as well. Disconnect from the P1. Actually, I could have stayed connected there. Let me reconnect on the P1, which is a route reflector. Let me just get the P2 back there. That's P1, there we go. So now I can learn .30 as well, which is fine. Just want to do the next hop self here as well. All right, so let me have a quick look see. So ping 164.0.2 VRF customer 1. So what did I break when moving the configs from the Junipers off as well? Else, let me just try it with the MikroTik basic setup when it comes to their documentation for the VRF stuff. Let's go into our BGP routing, BGP, and we're just gonna make some slight tweaks to our route distinguisher. Just make that the same there as there. And this. Okay. And if I go back to my provider 1, we go routing, route print where AFI equals L3, VPN 4. It's fine. Let's just go back to our PE. Let's see, can I ping 164.0.2 from customer 1? This should work. Let's just try and source it from 164.0.0. All right, never mind. It is actually working. Okay, let's see from our customer 1. Can I actually get over now? All right, I can. So it's probably just something with my route targets and the distinguisher, which is fine. Can I actually get across 192.168.20.1? Yep. 30.1, yep. All right, that's pretty good. So that means all of these purple sites can get to each other. Now, can my orange sites get to each other? Let's quickly see. I think they will. Call it a hunch. Ping 172.18.19.1. All right, so that is not happy. And I'm getting a response from 164.0.8. Show route or IP route print. Can I get to my 0.8? Yep. So let's just check on my PE1. We've got our customer 2. We do have a static for that, and we do see our connected route there. And oh, okay, I see what might potentially be the issue. I'm not learning the routing from the provider edge 2 for that subnet. And it basically just means I probably haven't set the routing for it. So if I go into my routing table, go to customer 2, yeah, I haven't set that route yet. So let's just add a route for it. Might be better to just BGP that up to the customer edges as well, but whatever. So I can say 172, what was it? 172, 18.19.0.18.19.0/24. And our gateway was going to be 164.0. What was it? 7 or yeah, 7 at customer 2. And I can see I almost immediately learn that route on the provider edge 1. And if we go back to our customer edge, can I ping out? Well, I could ping that already because that was just my gateway. Can I ping 172.18.19.1? Yay, I can. So our 2 orange sites can also get to each other. All the purple sites can get to each other. I wonder if my VPLS is just working now after the changes. Do I still have that MicroTik open? No, I don't. It's a pity. So let's just max that quickly. And if I do an IP neighbor print, so I still don't see the neighbor. So it's probably the BGP config that might just need some tweaking on the provider edges, like I did for the layer 3 VPN stuff. So let's just see if I go into my MPLS, VPLS, BGP VPLS. Let's just see what we've configured. Let's just make the route distinguisher AS customer. Going to my VPLS. And the VPLS is disabled on this side, so that's probably why it wasn't working either. But it's already set the route distinguisher to 65.000:3, so that is fine. I'm just going to take off the control word stuff. I really want to make sure. There we go. Let's just enable that. And VPLS interface immediately comes up, so we can definitely see it has dynamically created that interface, which is good. It's really good. I'm happy with that. And if I go back to my MikroTik for the customer stuff, still not working right. What could be the issue? Let me just quickly check our ports if it's the correct port. This was Ether 10 on PE2. That's good. And on my other end, that's also Ether 10. Yeah, so it is Ether 10 both ends. Got a bridge. Just make sure we disable STP as well. Let's see. IP address print 12.2. Oh, I know why it's not working. And it's a very simple issue. And it is linked to what we've been having before as well, because this is now BGP signaled VPLS that I'm doing using a router or a MikroTik using RouterS version 7, and that is broken at the moment. That is a bug, it's confirmed, MikroTik's still working on it. So, few ways we can fix it. I think the easy workaround is just on the provider, not the provider edge, on the route reflector itself, even though this is definitely not normal config, not something you should be doing. I'm just gonna, I think I've already done the bridge. Let's just see, do I have a configuration for it already? Let's see, MPLS, VPLS. So what I could do is just create this. Yeah, customer to VPLS. And what I'll do is add my route distinguisher, site ID, make that something random like 100. Import, export the route targets. I'm just going to add the bridge, but I'm not going to add any interface to the bridge. It's literally like a dummy interface that's just in the same VPLS instance. And I think that actually fixes it. If I look at my neighbors, do we see anything now? Yeah, I can see some more stuff with the neighbors now. And there I can see my remote sites as well. And if I ping across to 10, 11, 12, 2, does that work? Yes, it does work. So I can keep this workaround in place, or we could make a MikroTik that is using RouterS version 6, a route reflector, because that would also be a fix because it works fine with RouterS version 6. But it kind of defeats the purpose of the fancy version 7 stuff now, doesn't it? But the lab is working. Like, here is the lab. Here we are doing VPLS end to end. We're doing layer 3 VPNs end to end. So this is kind of like, I'd say, the extent of MikroTik service provider networking. We can do stuff like the VXLAN as well. But it's just VXLAN. It's not doing anything with eVPN. There's no anything with that in the BGP configuration. This is literally just, it's kind of like creating a static VPLS interface or tunnel and then just manually binding that between ends. So, do I want to test the VXLAN stuff? I just want to see what these provider edges are running, because I know MikroTik did say they were doing some stuff with VXLAN, IP neighbors or system packages. 7.18 beta 6. So if I go on to here and I look at microtik.com, and I could maybe just scoot that across here, and then let's have a look. Ugh. Yeah, that's nice to see. So let's go on about. Actually, I want to go to the software, and then I want to have a look at. Oh, they've already got v719. Let me look at that changelog quickly for the 719. I'm actually interested in it. What does that have? Not a lot at the moment. It's got a certificate fix, a console fix, a container fix, a firewall fix, something with the queue. But we can see 718 had a ton of fixes. Like, this was really where it was at. Now the question is 718. Added new STP monitoring fields for bridge and ports. So TXRX BPDU for discard transitions, last topology change. Okay, that's quite nice. Fixed DHCP snooping in Q&Q setups. Fixed memory leak on link down. Fixed multicast packet flow on hardware offloaded bridge. So where's the stuff for the VXLAN? Is it in its own section? Actually, I don't even think the VXLAN stuff changes much, to be honest. I think it's pretty much the same config. Let me just quickly see these provider edges. If we look at our interfaces, I'm just going to maximize it because this looks a bit silly. Close all windows. And we've got our interfaces, and we should have a VXLAN field. And if we create a new VXLAN, got a BNI, we can do a group, we can do an interface. VTips IP, that's cool. I think it had something to do with hardware offloading VXLAN traffic. I might be wrong. I think that was the cool stuff that they did with VXLAN. So it's not necessarily something with the configuration that changes, it's just that you've got the ability to hardware offload the traffic, which is nice. What are these actions? Torch. Question is, do I want to try and test out VXLAN? I also want to test out some more VPN stuff. There's one thing that I do actually really want to test out, and it's not even MikroTik related. It is related to pfSense, which is something that I might just start up quickly. Because it's actually not pfSense. I completely misspoke there. It's OpenSense. I sometimes confuse the two since they both have the word sense in their name. But I like both of them. Although I like OpenSense a bit more. A lot more, to be honest. I think I saw a bit of fallout in the pfSense community. I'm not totally sure what that was about. I think that was something to do again with the community version not being supported properly versus the pro version, I think. I don't 100% know. I don't really follow pfSense that much anymore. I might even need to upgrade the OpenSense box, but I want to get this up and running so I can just have. Wow, that was. You guys need to be glad that you don't have the desktop audio playing, because that was a loud noise. Now the question is, I've got an EM1. Hang on. I'm going to try and bring up my Linux box quickly. So I can just get onto that pfSense box and fiddle around a little bit, because this has to do with the fact that pfSense can now do tailscale. Not pfSense. I keep saying it wrong. I need to stop that. It's OpenSense. OpenSense does tailscale now. pfSense has done tailscale for a while, but OpenSense now does zero tier, tailscale, and WireGuard, which is really useful. Let me just see what have I set my IPs and stuff for. I'll bring this across in a second. I just want to see how things are configured. All right. All right, let's do this. Let me bring this across. And then go into the settings. Actually, I think I might need to just, what did I put this on? Settings. I think it's VMnet 19 or something. VMnet 19, yeah. So I could just move that to my VMnet 19 and just disconnect, reconnect, and then I should obtain an IP from that OpenSense box. If I do an ifconfig, should probably install NetTools. Do we have it connected? All right, there we go. We've got something there. Let me just check, do I have internet access out? Yes, I do. So let's just do a sudo apt get install, what's that, net-tools. Sudo dp kg configure. All right, while it's doing that, let's just see, can I get onto that OpenSense box? I just need to remember what the IP is, 192.168. Okay. Probably find it here quickly. That was 11. 11. Accept risk. There we go. So this still looks the same as OpenSense, the way I remember it, because I really don't hang out here much either anymore. But like I said, I did read somewhere that I think one of the, I'm not sure if they're OpenSense developer or just an open source dev that also submitted this as a new plugin that we can install, but it's really cool. So I just want to really also look at it. If I look at my system, where is that? Under the firmware. Let's just see if there is a new update. I'm pretty sure there will be one. Plugins. I just saw it there somewhere. Plugins OS Tailscale version 1.1. What's that? Let me just close that and update. Tailscale is a mesh VPN alternative based on WireGuard that connects your computer, databases, and services together securely without any proxies. Tailscale.com. Add a dashboard widget, change pure status list to DNS name instead of host name. Show online status for peers in status list, allowing advertising of IPv6 routes. That's quite nice. I like that. So if we have a wee look here, I don't even know why I said we look. I think I think my boss is rubbing off on me. So status. Well, it's doing its thing. It's busy with that. Is this thing finished? Looks like it. So I can install NetTools, so I can just do ifconfig like a normal person. Can I? ifconfig. Yay, I can do ifconfig. And this is done. I don't even think I need to restart. Packages are up to date. Awesome stuff. For entire decade now, OpenSense is driving innovation through modularizing and hardening open support firewall with simple. What is this? All right, it seems like we can go to version 25.1. I'm not even sure if I need to do that. Oh, let's do it. It should be a quick upgrade. It's like 1 gig. It should download relatively fast. And just for perspective's sake, this is now a Ubuntu VM that's sitting behind a OpenSense VM that uses this gateway, which just runs into my hypervisor, which is my physical computer that I'm sitting and doing this recording from, which is just going to have internet access and all that. So let's do a bit of research again. What is Tailscale? What is it? Because I don't really use it. And let's see what it does. Tailscale, best VPN service for secure networks. Go in there. Because I've done a few videos on zero tier, and it's really nice and easy to use. Hello, Lumi. Hope you're doing fine. So, what is the big... There's a Q&A, but I'm not going to watch any video for a QA now. I just want to see how it works. I'm doing great, thanks for asking. So I'm pretty sure Tailscale is pretty straightforward with, this firewall's busy rebooting, so it's going to take me offline, unfortunately. I could probably see what it's doing here. Busy doing its little install. I could probably also just read what is Tailscale on my actual computer, but there we go. This thing's gonna give me a jump scare again, I'm pretty sure. Doesn't seem too bad. I still want to get more into network automation, to be honest. Like, I understand the base principles of it, and I've created a few basic scripts and whatnot, but I feel really like behind when it comes to network automation. It's like I want to start somewhere that feels like a good place to start, if that makes sense. Where you can actually pick up the stuff properly. And I think I've signed up to a service called Packet Coders or something, and they do good work with teaching network automation, but finding the time, although technically I could do it in the time that I'm streaming now, but it it would definitely interfere with streaming then. All right, this thing should be back online any second. I said any sec. There we go. That beep is the stuff of nightmares. I really am glad you guys can't hear it. I might jump scare you one day with it, but whoa. That was pretty heavy. All right, let's see. Oh, wow, I like this logo. This is really nice. Didn't look like this just now. Let's log in and see. This looks really nice. I mean, it's still technically the same we just had before I logged in. But it definitely looks a bit nicer. These graphs also look a lot more flowy almost. I love it. I really do. Looks good. So let's have a look at our firmware, our plugins. I think I've already installed the plugin for Tailscale. Yes, I have. And this is running version 1.2. Let's just see, is there any updates for this version that I'm running? Apparently, yes, there is. More updates, but I think this should at least run in service. So I should be able to just update. Never mind, I'll have to reboot again. And then while that reboots, I'm actually going to turn on the audio, but I'm gonna pause my music so that you guys don't listen to the music the whole time. And let's just see if I turn on the desktop audio, if you can get that jump scare, even though I shouldn't tell you it's a jump scare. But if my ears had to hear that 3 times already, then I think it's fair that you guys get to hear it once at least when this firewall boots back up again. But while we wait, I'm actually going to do the thing I said, where I'm just going to use my actual computer and go into Tailscale. So let's go see what is Tailscale. How does it work? People often ask us for an overview how Tailscale works. We've been putting off answering that because we kept changing it, but now things have started to settle down. Let's go through the entire Tailscale system from bottom to top, the way we built it, but skipping some zigzags we took along the way. With this information, you should be able to build your own Tailscale replacement, except you don't have to, since our node software is open source and we have a flexible free plan. Now, if I remember correctly, you can self-host the Tailscale stuff as well. Like you can build your own, I don't remember what they call them, head and tail or something, heads and tails. Okay, but let's see, the data plane WireGuard. So I do believe this again runs off of WireGuard, which is pretty modern these days and pretty common as well. Like, it's so weird thinking that WireGuard has been around a while already. It's already becoming old, if that makes sense. Our base layer is the increasingly popular and excellent open source WireGuard package, specifically the user space Go variant, WireGuard Go. WireGuard creates a set of extremely lightweight encrypted tunnels between your computer, VM, or container, which WireGuard calls an endpoint and we call a node. So they call all their things nodes and any other nodes in your network. Let's clarify that most of the time VPN users, including WireGuard users, build a hub and spoke architecture where each client and device, so your laptop, connects to central concentrator or VPN gateway, which is normal. That kind of makes sense. Most times you will have something like a firewall sitting at a data center and everybody connects to it, and that's just that firewall's responsibility for routing traffic between the sites. So Nothing out of the ordinary there. I don't think I need to read like every paragraph for you guys, but here is the interesting bit where mesh networks. So that's hub and spoke network. They're not too hard to set up with WireGuard, although a bit tedious. And we haven't really talked about safe practices for key management. Still, there's something fundamentally awkward about hub and spoke. They don't let your individual nodes talk to each other. If you're old like me, you remember when computers could just exchange files directly without going to the cloud and back. This is how all of the internet used to work, believe it or not. Sadly, developers have stopped building peer-to-peer apps. Peer-to-peer apps, that brings back some memories. Because blah blah. But basically what they want to get at is it's pretty neat to have a full mesh WireGuard setup, because then everything can just directly talk to each other, so that you don't need to go to the concentrator. And I think it also, geez, my arm rest for my chair just came loose, which is awesome. cheap chair. So what I think what they in essence is trying to explain to people is it's quite nice to have a full mesh setup, because if you think about it, with the hub and spoke type of solution, if the concentrator goes down, if that VPN server that's up there, if this thing fails, then all of your VPN connections, they're gone. Nothing's working, everybody's panicking, everybody's in a full breakdown mode. Whereas if everything's meshed like this, if just one of the nodes loses their connectivity, you just won't be able to get to that node, but everything else will still be able to talk to each other, which is really, really nice. I might actually read this bit more in detail. Hang on a second. Is this thing back online? It didn't even make the sound. I was hoping to jump scare you guys. All right, let me just mute my desktop again, and then I can play my music again. So, I don't know, this is all a bunch of weird music. YouTube's playlist is just suggesting me some of the strangest things. Let's try that. All right, so it's probably because I wasn't tabbed into the VM itself, so it didn't make the noise. So let's see, can I log in? If we refresh that, yeah, all right, so we got internet access. But I'm pretty sure we can just start up like WireGuard. Let me set up with Google. Let me just move this quickly. Although I could use one of my alters. Two-step verification. That's one of those awesome things in the modern world. But it's good to have. It really is good to have. Yes, that's me. Continue. All right, let's bring this back here. Update Windows nodes to v132.3 to remediate security vulnerabilities. So apparently I've oh, this was when I was testing it with pfSense, which is like almost 3 years ago. So I have tested Tailscale before. But I'm going to delete whatever this was, because I really don't even remember how to set this up. Add devices to your network. So what I could do is operating system. Install. How do I go? OpenSense. Using OpenSense with Tailscale. OpenSense is community supported platform for Tailscale. Okay. Oh, we've already got Tailscale. Connect to Tailscale. Alright, that helps, but it's not really all of the information I'm looking for. Let's just go to the VPN itself and see what it's doing. So if we go into Tailscale, what do we have here? We've got some authentications. We got like a pre-auth key we can do. What's our settings? I think we obviously want to enable Tailscale. What does the full help show us? This will activate the Tailscale service. This is the port. Accept DNS from the control server. That's quite nice. Advertise exit node. That's quite nice. I like that. So this can basically just be like a default route out to all of your Tailscale VPN clients, and just so they can use you as the default gateway. Basically, that's quite cool. Use exit node. I'm just gonna add that, and then I have no clue how do I configure this. Do I just need to use a pre-auth key? Add a device. Linux server. No, that's, I think it should just be the client. And login. So the login is my network Berg email address. And where do I set this? Like, geez. Should I go read that again? Using it with OpenSense. What is this? What is this? That's obviously just like an example network. To add OpenSense machine as a node in your tailnet, run the following. So this is where I might just have a second screen open on my actual machine. And I might just log in again. All right, cool. So I've logged in again. It's just so that I can see on the far right what I'm doing while I'm on the OpenSense VM. OpenSense. I just need to search for that documentation again. So let's just log in quickly. And let me go into shell. And then let's just have a look here. If I do a service, tail scale D, or let's just do tail scale version, It will help if I spell tail the right way. Tail scale version 123.6. I'm getting stuck. Help, help. Okay, that's fine. What do I type in? Tail scale up. Tail scale up. Aha. This is going to be not nice to type in. Tailscale.com 917E000140B2. Your device OpenSense is logged in. Okay, that's perfect. That is perfect. But I need to connect another device that is using it probably to get the full benefit. But if I go back to my Roam VM and if I just refresh the page, there we go. I've got this Tailscale IP. I'm gonna have to test and play around a bit, but it seems pretty straightforward to connect. I mean, the the guide is actually pretty straightforward as well. All that you need to do is you just type Tailscale up, and it will blurt out some URL you need to follow just to link to your Tailscale account or to your Tailscale. What can I call it? Your tail thing, your network basically. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that works pretty fine. And now the question is, what else can we do? Because we can do plain WireGuard, we can do Tailscale, and I know we can do zero tier as well, which is just another plugin that we need to install. So if I look at my services and I look at my what was it? It's not services, it's system, firmware, plugins. I mean, I could install, I think you just type in, is it zero tier? Yeah. Version 132_5. I wonder if you can do stuff like use Tailscale with zero tier. That'd be interesting. I mean, you could obviously run both services at the same time, but maybe to do something more fun with it. Like bridge things over from zero tier into the Tailscale network. Now the question is, will it just reflect immediately? No. I think I might have to restart, or let's just refresh the page. No, just refreshing the page fixes it. Then we can see our zero tier configuration here. Networks. Well, we can just enable this. I've got a feeling this does a similar thing. Now the question is, if I go in here, I should actually have a interface for the tailscale. I think. There we go. There's an unassigned interface for the tailscale. All right, that's pretty cool. It's even giving us a IPv6 IP, which is quite nice. But I'm quickly just going to disable the tailscale as well. So let's turn that off. I mean, this might be a fun lab that I could do inside of EVE-NG, where I could perhaps let's go into Eve again. EVE-NG. So I could probably do something like create some VM network, connect that to Tailscale, and then have my actual machine connected to Tailscale as well, and maybe like my phone or something. I think you can load Tailscale on your phone, can't you? Is there an app for it? There probably is. Let's see. It's a Google Play or something. Play. I barely go onto these app stores and install things. Tailscale. What is this? You search Tailscale and the first prompt you get is for like these VPN providers like Nord and Proton and Express and Surfshark and all that. But just below it there is a Tailscale app, so you can definitely run it from your phone. I wonder, is there a zero tier app? It's not something I use, zero tier. Yeah, there is. So we could do zero tier or we could do Tailscale. Zero tier seems a bit more popular. It's got way more downloads. It's got like 1 million, I guess, where Tailscale has 500,000 on phone. And that is interesting. I like that. All right. But to recap, we did fix up our MPLS lab. We removed all of our Junipers out of this topology, made this a pure MikroTik setup. And then we did do the layer 3 VPNs. We did it with our customer 1 sites, which is purple, customer 2 sites, which is orange, and then VPLS between 2 locations where we had to use a bit of a hack on a route reflector to make it working. So I'm fairly happy with this setup. I do want to replicate a similar setup just using Juniper gear, which should be pretty straightforward as well to configure and get running. It's just I feel like adding Juniper with MikroTik, where the MikroTik is the actual core infrastructure, it doesn't work very well. There's too many bugs and errors we were running into. So I'd rather just have a pure MikroTik lab, and if we run into issues with that, we can fix that on MikroTik or figure it out. And the same for Juniper. Although in the real world, you'll probably have interconnected devices and matched equipment, and that's fine. It's just in this setup that we're doing, it's really difficult to figure some things out. Hmm. So, is there anything else that I want to try and achieve with the lab? Not with this Microtech lab, no. I'm considering also maybe doing some 40 net or 40 gate labs, but 40 gate is a weird bag because having their VMs in the labs, it's not very fun. Like, it's very limited, even more so than what the Microtechs or Junipers are limited to what you can do. They are really restrictive with what you can actually test with the trial license. And even if you're using the trial license, there's features that just don't work. I think you can't even use web filtering with the trial license unless you have like a special license, I'm guessing, which makes a lot of the real core features why you want to use a firewall and lab it kind of not worth it unless you get yourself a physical Fortinet that still has a license on it, then that would make sense. But labbing it on Eve is kind of difficult, to be honest. I can bring up the nodes like easily. It's just the actual configuration is really not nice. I'm gonna turn off these nodes and then give it a think what else we can potentially lab. But I'm happy with that. That was just a Romon lab. Let's just look at our labs quickly. What we have here. VPLS. No. That looks like the same lab. Was I changing something? Let me just open this. What is this? Did I clone it? No, this is definitely a different lab. But I almost think this was where we also tested stuff like the route reflector. Oh, thanks, Stellar Chalk. I appreciate it. I'll head there immediately. Thank you so much. Juniper Labs. I call things very basic, but that doesn't look very basic. Although that looks quite neat. Maybe I should do this with the Microtech lab. Oh, make it look a bit better. Because what have we done here? We've done layer 2 circuits, layer 3 VPN, VPLS. I think, is this also where I wanted to test eVPN stuff? I don't even remember if we, did we do this on the stream? I almost think we did this on the stream. Because the real cool one is this eVPN lab. This is a cool lab. This was worth it. I just need to maybe redo the lab using the Juniper V routers instead of these VMXs to make it work better, but it runs really well. I like how eVPN is so flexible with how it can get traffic from one end to the other end. And it's so cool. It's like we haven't even configured. I don't even think we've configured LACP or anything like this. It's just running in this active passive state almost, and it just knows which interface to use in this setup. It's crazy. Alright, I think I am actually going to start spacing out now because I've really just mumbled for the last 5 minutes. Or rambled, I guess, is the better way to say it. So as we unwind, if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to listen, watch, read it, answer. Otherwise, I'm gonna also just head off. But this is a good place to end the stream. But I want to figure out how to add the chat widget, like a chat plugin on the stream so you guys can kind of see it as well. Because here I get this um, widget in OBS, which is fine. It's nice to just see it. But I know for a fact I want to use like a plugin so the chat comes up on the screen for a little bit and then kind of fades out after a few minutes. Because I feel like that's way nicer on the videos, especially if you're rewatching it on YouTube or as a VOD or something, then you can kind of see what people were asking or saying. And I don't know if it's just a chat box. Is that just a plugin that you can install? I'll have to Google that chat box. Chat box. But I know most streamers, like especially game streamers, use stuff like that. Hang on, browser source. If I source, what is this source? Should I do? I'll have to figure this out. I'm sure it can be done with just plain OBS. Because you could do maybe like a window capture. What is this? And then capture the. No, window capture will not work for what I want. But I'll figure it out. Thanks for putting me on the right track, I think. Alright, cool guys. I think this is where I'm going to end it off. Thanks for watching, and another gaming stream on Friday where I'll be continuing my Gothic adventure. We did do that last Friday, it was very fun. Otherwise, next Monday, we pick it up again. Maybe do some stuff, like I said earlier in the stream. I'm even tempted to start just reviewing all of the big vendors' documentation and documenting that in a video format as well. That could be useful to some people. So I am going to cut the stream a little bit short. Thanks for watching.